Hey guys, it's Deb Acker here. How are you? So I'm just going to wait a couple minutes here for people to start joining, and I'm going to see if I can figure out, I was trying to do this earlier for something else I was doing, but I'm going to see if I can figure out how to share this to my pages while we're waiting. So we'll get started in just a minute or so here. Hello! We're going to get started in just a second here. I'm writing a comment right now, but whoever just joined, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us your name and where you are in this world. All right, we're going to get started in just a minute or so here. Hello, when you're joining, just let me know your name, let me know what city you're in. We're going to get started in just a second. Hi, Sarah, how are you? Good to see you here. Hello, whoever's joining. If you want to say hi, you don't have to, but if you want to say hi, introduce yourself, let us know what your name is, what city you're in, that would be awesome. We are literally going to get started in just a minute here. Yeah, it's 7:02, so we'll start in 7:02 my time. We'll start in just a minute. So I'm so super excited for this. For those of you guys who are joining us live, I'm so grateful to have you here. The content we are going to share on this call is going to be amazing. It's going to be so much fun, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting things, probably some concepts and stuff you haven't heard before, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Hi Sheila, how are you? I'm so glad that you're here. Yeah, San Francisco, how's San Francisco treating you? Hello, so everyone who's joining, if you want to say hi, we're gonna literally get started. It's 7:03, so we have a lot to cover tonight, so I want to make sure we're gonna just jump right in. So first of all, hello. So first of all, our agenda for tonight, just to give you guys an idea of what to expect. I'm going to share just a teeny bit about me. A lot of you guys have heard my story, know my story, but I'll share just a teeny bit about me and the work that I do. And from there, you know, a lot of you guys are familiar with my light activation, but we're going to do a light activation tonight. And then what I'm going to do is start to dive into 3 of the biggest blocks that I've seen to really love and money, right? And I think, so I was talking about this, and you'll see this video at some point on my Facebook page in the near future, but I did a 2020 Energies video with one of the studios I work out of in Denver. And we were talking about this year, and starting this year is a huge physical manifestation year, right? So it is so freaking exciting. And that is in part like why my guides were like, you need to do a call, like us all around soul. You guys know I love soul stuff, right? But you need to do a call around soul blocks to love and money, not just blocks to money, love and money, but soul blocks, right? And so from there, I'm going to go through the blocks. We're going to do a ton of clearing throughout that. And then as well, we will finish with filling you up. I always like to fill people up. Hi, Maria. I'm so glad you're here. I like to fill people up with a higher, lighter operating state, a higher, lighter, profitable operating state. So we're going to do that. And then I will share with you at the end of this call a way to dive deeper into this work if you'd like. I ask as well, if you have questions throughout this, hi Fiona, I ask that if you have questions throughout this, that you save your questions to the end. There will be a time at the end of this call for any kind of questions you have regarding anything that we've shared today. So with that said, again, for those of you guys who don't know me or haven't met me before, I'm Deb. I'm an intuitive coach. What I like to do is I help people, and especially it tends to be catered and geared towards women, right? But I help them identify a variety of different conclusions, right, that they've made when they were a kid to help them to clear their deepest rooted patterns, pain, and abandonment, right? And so, for example, if you had parents like me who got divorced when you were young, when you were growing up, you might have made up in that moment that that was your fault. Right? And then what ends up happening, or even deeper than that, you might have made up that love would always be a struggle, and this is a love and money clearing call, right? But what happens is those memories get stored in our body, and until we take the time to really identify those memories and then start to shift them, and I have a ton of different ways to shift and heal and clear them, but until we take that time to do that, they're walking around magnetizing our current day reality. So what I like to do in my work, and as an intuitive, I love helping people to identify what age they took something on, who they took it on from, and these conclusions that we're not aware of that are totally creating our reality. So what we are going to do from here is we are going to do a light activation. For those of you guys who haven't experienced my light activations before, what I like to do is I like to give the 360 overview, right, to try to get us out of our heads as much as possible. But what we're going to be doing is bringing light all the way through the body. And then we're going to expand that light out 5 feet, 10 feet, all the way out to the entire universe. And I will walk you through this step by step, but I always like to, like I said, to give the 360 overview so you kind of have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. So with that, I'm going to ask you to set aside everything that, that you could be doing right now while you have your phone in front of you, right? Just set aside everything that you could be doing right now. Put that aside, take some deep breaths into your body. So you're going to take a nice deep inhale into your body and then just exhaling out. And again, taking a nice deep inhale into your body and just exhaling out. And just beginning to connect to the light that's 360 feet above your head. We naturally do this when we pray, so don't try not to overthink it, right? And just starting to see this liquid golden light coming down, filling down into your forehead, down past your eyes, past your ears, your nose, your cheeks, down into your mouth, down the back of your head, down your neck, and across your shoulders, down into your chest and into your heart space, just seeing this liquid golden light filling every cell in the body, right? Down into your solar plexus, which is right underneath your chest and is our power center. Down into your belly, down your back, down your arms and out through your hands and fingers and fingertips. Bringing this liquid golden light into your hips and glutes. Seeing this liquid golden light coming down your legs. And out through your feet. And just starting to connect into the center of the universe. There's a spot in the center of the universe that is really nurturing. It is really loving. It is really calm and supportive. And it feels like Mother's love, right? It's Mother Earth energy. And so just tapping into that energy, tapping into that feeling in the earth. And just bringing this liquid golden light back up through your feet. Good, up through your legs. Into your hips and glutes, up through your torso, up through your arms and hands and fingers and fingertips, up through your neck, and up through your face. And just one more time, just seeing this liquid ray of light, a liquid beam of light coming down, filling every crevice in your face and the back of your head, down your neck, across your shoulders, down your arms and out through your hands and fingers and fingertips, down your entire torso and the sides of your body and back, into your hips and glutes, down your legs, and out through your feet, and just back up through your feet, up through your legs, up through into your hips and glutes, up through your torso and the sides of the body and back, and up through your neck, and up through your face. And so just taking a second here to expand from above and below, you're going to expand that from your heart. And you're just going to see that light covering the entire room that you're in, just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. Seeing that light covering the entire building or home or area you're in. Again, just super, super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. And just seeing that light now covering out past the entire city you're in. Again, just super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. And just seeing that light now expanding out past the entire state or country, if you are in another country. I don't know what time it is in other parts of the world, but just seeing that light covering the entire state or country. Again, just super, super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. And now expanding out past the entire continent. Again, just super, super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And now expanding out past the entire world. Just again, just super, super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. And just one more time, just expanding out across the entire universe. So past all the planets, galaxies, and stars, just super, super, super big. And just allowing your body just to open, expand, and breathe. And just opening, expanding, and breathing. And in this space, taking in that you are an infinite being in a body, taking in just how big, just how powerful that you truly are. And also taking in your connection to all things. And so just slowly bringing your energy back into your body. Taking a nice big deep inhale into your body. Feeling your body where you are sitting. And then just slowly opening your eyes. So I always say in my classes, welcome back. A lot of times that takes us a little out of our body. It can be kind of a new experience depending on if we're used to doing that or not. It's something, so first of all, I have that exercise on YouTube, and it's something that if you do that exercise regularly, you're going to find yourself more calm. You're going to find yourself more centered. You're going to find yourself, again, starting to opening to the guidance that's always coming through and that you may or may not always be tuned in to. I mean, I've had people come back years later and tell me that that exercise alone is life-changing. And what happens is that you can connect really quickly. So instead of taking a lot of time to connect, you can literally connect in 20 seconds or 30 seconds. So, hi Fiona, how are you? So as you can tell, I'm really excited and I'm really eager to get to all of this material. So that's why I was like rushing and I really just want to cover so much here today. So just a couple of things before we start to dive into the material, just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect if this is a little bit new for you, which it looks like a lot of the people on the call are people that I've either seen in my classes, are colleagues of mine or friends, and also clients. And so I'm grateful to have you guys all here. So what we're going to be doing is, like every block that I give you, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving you a series of what I would call clearing statements. And those clearing statements are meant to help you to bring consciousness to something that you may not be aware of in your field. And the benefit of bringing these things to consciousness in our field is that as we start to become aware of them, we no longer are holding on to them and we start to release them. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be discussing 3 different topics today, and I'm going to be giving you some new awarenesses, some awarenesses you may not have heard, some new ideas, some new concepts possibly for you. And then what we're going to be doing from there is I'm going to be giving you a series of clearing statements for you to help you to become aware of things that you may or may not be aware of. Throughout the course of that, what I'm going to be giving you is I'm going to give you one statement, and my helper Maria is going to actually be writing the statements down, so you don't have to worry about remembering them. But as I give you the clearing statements, right, as I give you these, you can just hold those in, hold that one statement of I trust, for instance. That would be one statement that I'm going to give you, right? And so if you just hold that space of I trust while we are clearing the first block, that it simply is the easiest and simple way that we're going to clear the energy tonight. I have other ways that I like to work with people, but tonight, that is what we are going to do. So with that, before we dive in, a couple more things. I want you just to, if you're new to this, trust the process, trust what's coming up for you. Know that even if you're like, I don't even know what we're doing, know that it's going to benefit you. Just holding on to that. And right now, before we start to dive into these blocks, because energy can be kind of subtle, what I want you to do is on a scale of 10, just right now, I want you just to rate how you're feeling right now. So on a scale of 10, you feel amazing, you're at a 10, like life is awesome, life could not get any better, or you're not feeling good, right? And just noticing where you're at in on that scale. And if you want, if you have a piece of paper, you can write that number down. Otherwise, just remember it, because we're going to take a note of this at the end of tonight's conversation, at the end of tonight's call. Thank you for sharing, Fiona, and I'm sorry to hear that. And you, hopefully by the end of this call, you'll have a big shift in your energy. So the first block that I see in terms of the soul block to love and money is really all around of the fact that we are not aware that our memories are subconsciously creating our current reality. So what happens with this, and part of what we're going to be clearing around tonight, is we stop trusting, right? So, we ask for something in the universe, and this is something that can get frustrating for a lot of us, right? But we ask for something, yes, it could only go up, exactly. We ask for something in the universe, and then what happens, but it doesn't happen, right? Or the exact opposite happens. Comment below if that's something that you can relate to or can connect to that as a concept. I can relate to that. And so what happens is that then we go, oh my gosh, everything that I'm doing isn't working, right? It's not working. And so, you can see it that way, and that's one way to look at it, right? But also seeing it as actually the stuff that's coming up is coming up to be shifted, right? So those memories that are subconscious, right, they are coming up to be shifted so that Yes, that is exactly, that's block number one. So the memories that are coming up to be shifted so that you can actually create what it is that you are wanting, right? And so many times too, if you can start to view things like, instead of viewing when something quote unquote negative happens as not working for you, if you can start to view that things are actually supporting you, right? That these quote unquote, again, negative things are actually supporting you, and starting to really open to that and start to realize that, right? So how do you start to realize that when it feels like so many things in the world is against you, right? Well, one of the ways I like to talk about this is in terms of an abundance mindset. So, a scarcity mindset is all around, either something works for me or it doesn't work for me, right? And so, the abundance part of that is it's working for me, and the scarcity part of that is it's not working for me, and life is not working for me, right? But the abundance mindset realizes either it's growth or it works out for me, right? So there's an abundance mindset there that it's like literally it's growth or this is working out for me. And so really starting to realize that and starting to see, okay, maybe something negative happened to me, but what are the good things that came from it? Again, maybe some growth came from it. Maybe you got an awareness. Maybe you got a shift that you needed to make to create the thing that you're wanting in your life. I'll give you an example. I'm stepping into the corporate world, and I'm playing with some different things, right? And every single time something, quote unquote, doesn't work out for me, all I do is I tweak what it is that I'm doing to get a stronger and stronger response the next round, right? The next time, right? So if we can start to shift into that mentality versus, oh my God, that didn't work, and giving up, which is something that can happen. If we can start to shift into that, makes a huge difference. So let's start to clear just a couple of the things that can come up with that, right? And the statement that I want you to use for this, right, is I am always supported, right? And right now, again, that may not feel true, but what we're going to do is bring up some of the subconscious blocks so you can start to become aware of the fact that you are always supported. So first of all, any versions of where you give up on yourself, right? Any versions of where life isn't working out for you, right? And so just, again, holding inside, saying to yourself, I am always supported, right? And we're just seeing these blocks around giving up, around where life's not supporting you, coming out of the body. So you're just seeing those leaving the body, right? Any versions of where you're not creating a win-win in your life, right? So it's either it works out for me or it's growth, right? Any versions of where you're not creating that or you're not seeing it as such, right? Just, again, exhaling that out of the body. And any version of where you're not aware that there's a memory that's blocking your current reality. So anywhere where you're not aware that there's a memory or a subconscious memory that's blocking your reality, any version of where you've blocked something that's painful that are now creating and really subconsciously creating your reality. You want to just see those leaving the body. And then just breathing in the fact that you are always supported. And any version too of where your memories subconsciously stop you from doing something to actually have the love and the money that you're desiring in your life, right? So any version of that, just exhaling that out of your body and breathing in that you are always supported, right? And you're going to notice, so just right there, something, it got lighter, right? So you might, if you're tuned to energy, and it's okay if you're not, right? But you might start to feel something opening. You might just start to feel something getting lighter. And that's these blocks starting to clear. Everywhere with this too, that your memories make you subconsciously less willing to go after love, right? Less willing to go after money, right? To go do the things that you need to do to create these amazing things in your life, right? And everywhere you're sort of expecting something magical to just show up on your doorstep, right? You're not doing the work for it. I've had this one before, but you're not doing the work for it. You're just like, it's just going to show up, right? And of course, there's a co-creation that happens, but first and foremost, and this is a really important piece, you have to choose it before anything else can come into play. So if you're not choosing it and you're expecting it just to show up and you're not actually taking some kind of action, it doesn't have to be the right action, but it just has to be some kind of action to actually step forward and move forward, right? And just to tell the universe, source, God, however you define it, right, that you want this in your life. Also with this, every version of where you're not trusting. So there's pieces of trusting, right? Of not trusting yourself, not trusting others, maybe even others not trusting you. And the biggest one around this is not trusting, again, source, God, universe, again, however you define it, right? So you just want to see that leaving your body. And again, the statement that we are shifting this to is I am always supported, right? I am loved, I am supported. And again, you're going to feel it just got, again, something just shifted and cleared. So you're going to feel it getting lighter in the room, and you're going to start to feel an inner experience that's shifting. And the last one that we're going to do with this first concept, right, is any version of where you're not believing in infinite possibilities. And so I want to share with you, so we're talking right now about childhood memories, right? And most of us, what we do with our in our childhood, right, is we either say that we are going to do what our parents doing, or we choose to do the opposite. So inherently with that, right, we're saying I choose option A is to be like my mom, option B is to not be like her, right? And inherently with that, we are not in a space of true choice. We are not in a space of infinite possibilities. And within option A, option B, box A, box B, right, there's infinite possibilities of other ways to show up, right, where maybe you're like her sometimes, maybe you're not like her sometimes, right? Maybe you're not, it has nothing to do with her, right, whatsoever, and you're like your dad or you're like yourself, right? And so just noticing that and being aware of that, right? And so go ahead, just with this first block, go ahead and chime in anything that you're noticing, anything that you're experiencing right now. Just go ahead and comment below anything that you want to share before we start to move on to the second block, if you want to share anything. Okay, so sometimes I know I have a shy community, and it's all good, because I'm shy too, I believe it or not. I'm an extroverted introvert. So the second block that we're going to talk about is all around where we put love and money outside of ourselves, right? And so it is so super common where we think, okay, I'm going to go after, I'm going to get that, right? And so here's some examples of that, just to give you an idea of what I mean by this. If you've ever put a partner on a pedestal, right, or been like, oh my God, I gotta have that, right? Like that inherently is creating separation between you and the thing that you're wanting, or the thing that you have, right? If you've ever been desperate for money, so, you know, you've done something desperate to get money, where you're sitting maybe with a prospect or a client and you're like, all you can think about is the money that you're going to make for them, right? That's a space where we can leave ourselves, and where we create separation between us and our money, right? That's a space where we're not owning the truth of who we are, right? And the truth of who we are meant to be. Right? And so we have all heard this expression too, where like attracts like. And you may or may not know exactly what this means, right? But the key to this is really becoming the feeling of it so much and you recognizing that you already have it. Thank you for sharing. So the key to that is becoming and recognizing that you already have it, right? So you're becoming the feeling of it, right? And I'm going to give you an exercise after we do the clearings to really help you to integrate this, right, as a concept, because if you're like, oh, this is kind of new, or something that maybe you haven't experienced before. So I just want to read Angie's comment. So living in my mom's shadow of her relationship with money and things. Yes. So, so we can, many times, again, that's a way that we're not true to ourselves too, right? Is that we can live in our parents' shadows. Okay. So with this, what I want to do, so what we're talking about in this second concept is where we put money, we create separation between us and our money, and us and a partner or love, right? We're like, oh my God, this person's on a pedestal, or we think, we're like, oh my God, what can I do? What can I do to get this, right? And that inherently is creating this distance, right? And so instead, what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do some clearings around this. And then I want to give you an exercise to really step into the feeling of being this, right? To really step into, I feel this, I am being this, wholeheartedly and full on, right? And so first of all, so the statement that we're going to replace these clearings with, right, is I am one with it all. So when we remember that we are one with it all, right, we are back and returning to the truth of who we are, right? We are back and returning to the truth of who we are and the truth of who we are meant to be at all times, right? And so every version of where you're creating separation for love, right? So any versions of where you're creating separation for love, any versions of where you're creating separation for money, right? Just, you want to see that exhaling out of your body, and you're replacing this with just, I am one with it all. And again, you're going to feel yourself getting lighter. It just got lighter in my room. So just, again, just trust that this is working. Even if you're like, I don't even know how this is working. Just trust that it's working. Any versions of where you're putting money outside of you, any versions of where you're putting love outside of you, just exhaling those out of your body. And again, it's this idea of I am one with it all. And also this space of where you lose yourself for love or you lose yourself for money, right? So you're willing to do anything for money, right? You're willing to do anything for love. I know how many people can relate to that at some point in their life, right? And so just exhaling that out of your body. And again, remembering I am one with it all. And everywhere with this, everywhere that you're prioritizing having money or love over you, right? So everywhere you're not prioritizing yourself and you're prioritizing money or love, right? Which is again a space where we create separation. So in this space of where when I prioritize money or love, I say, okay, I'm going to do something to make money, right? But it's not actually in alignment for me, right? It's not actually in truth for me. That's a space where we're creating separation. And what happens is, and I'm going to cover this more in the next block, right? But what happens is we tell the universe to bring us more of that, right? When we say, oh, I'm going to do something that's not aligned to get what I think I want, right? We tell the universe to bring us more of that. And if you tune into that right now, right? So if you tune into that, you can feel that doesn't actually feel good, right? Because what we're doing is we're moving from either an obligation energy or it's some version of a misaligned energy. And all of that, whether it's obligation, misalignment, all of that feels heavy in our bodies, right? All of that feels off in our bodies. So again, just exhaling that out of your body, any version of where you prioritize money or love over you. And then even if that means doing something that's not right or disrespectful to get these, right? So it's not right for you or it's disrespectful to you to get these. Just exhaling that out of your body and replacing that with I am one with it all. And just a couple more here. So any versions of where you're chasing money, any versions of where you're chasing love. And again, that's a space where we create separation with it, right? That's a space where we put it outside of ourselves. So just exhaling that out of your body and replacing that with I am one with it all. And the last one in this one is that everywhere you're trying to get money, right? Everywhere that you're trying to get love. Again, when we're trying to get something, we're inherently telling the universe that we don't remember we already are love, right? We don't remember that we already are all that is, right? We already are abundance, right? So just exhaling that out of your body and then replacing that with I am one with it all. So what do we do? You know, we just cleared a bunch of stuff with that, right? But what do you do when you're trying to actually access that and to stop putting it outside of you? One thing that you can do, so I'm going to walk you through two exercises, one for money, one for love. These are really simple exercises. They're something you can do literally in a minute, if not quicker, right? But the first thing we're going to do, so we're going to do the love one first. So I want you just to close your eyes. And I want you to think of someone in your life who loves you so much, right? Who loves you completely unconditionally. And this could be someone that is no longer in their physical body, right? And this could also be a pet, right? Or even a pet you've met. And just really tapping into that feeling of how much love they have for you and really allowing yourself to receive that and feel that in your body. And as part of that, really amplifying and magnifying that feeling. So just, it's like imagine if you had a dial on there, love, right? And you could turn it all the way up to infinity or 10, whatever you choose, right? So just turning it up, turning it up, turning it up, and just feeling all that love that they have for you in your body. And you're going to feel your vibration raising as, you know, your energy and your vibration raising as you do this. Awesome. So that's one thing that you can do. See, and that's really, you just became the feeling of love if you aren't already, right? So it's something that can, even just starting your day with that, right, can start to create a day where you start to receive more love in your life, right? Receive more support, where you create create from a much more powerful feeling, a much more powerful energy. So the money one we're going to do is, again, just so setting aside that exercise, and if your eyes aren't already closed, go ahead and close your eyes. And I just want you to tap into and think of a time in your life where you had big success or big abundance, right? So maybe it was around a project you did where you got a lot of kudos, or you got a raise or a promotion, right? Maybe it was around a gift you received. Maybe it was around just an experience you had, right? You know, you got to go on a really cool adventure, cool experience, cool vacation, right? Maybe it was a time you won something. And again, just tapping into that. Just imagine now turning up that dial, right? So turning up this dial of, oh my gosh, I am so supported in this life. And just turning it up and turning it up and turning it up. And now with this, I want you to imagine it's raining money in wherever you are, right? So just imagine this like total abundance flow of like literally it's raining money every which way of Sundays. And just feeling this in your body, right? And feeling yourself that as you amplify this energy, that you generate more and more and more of it. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Does anyone want to share anything that they experienced during any part of that exercise? Awesome. Okay, so we are going to move on. We're going to move on to the third block, right? And I call them blocks, but really, in part, what they are a lot of times subconscious pieces that we're not aware of, right? That once we become aware of them, we can reorganize our whole life, right? We can reorganize our whole reality. And so this last one is where we are not prioritizing what we really want in our life, right? So every time you say yes to something, right, you tell the universe, source, God, to bring you more of that. So when you go along, for instance, with something that doesn't feel right to you, right, what ends up happening is you are saying, oh, good, bring me a bunch of that. It's like, oh, that's shit. Oh, that's perfect. Bring it on in, right? So, swimming. Your timing is good with my analogy. I don't think that's what you meant, but yeah, Angie, that's awesome. So, swimming in the love and abundance. Right. So I have a situation that I can afford to get to, but not out of. Right. And so here's the thing is part of what happens, and I love that, Fiona, that you're bringing this up. Part of what happens is we buy into things, and it's understandable, right? Because it feels like there's no way out, right? So first and foremost, it's very important that you own your reality. So if you're like, it feels like there's no way out of this, and if I'm understanding you correctly, right? So first and foremost, it's really important that you own where you are. You don't override it. You don't pretend it's okay when it's not. You just own where you are, right? But then as part of that, and what I want to plant, because this was something that in 2019 got hardcore, wired in me. What I used to sort of rule out was possibilities. So I would think it would be like, okay, well, these are the only two things that I can see. And when I started to shift and really hold the space that anything was possible, and I've always believed anything was possible, but there was something that shifted in me in 2019 where I not only believed anything was possible, but I started to open to, well, if I could have both A and B, right? If I could have my cake and eat it too, what would that look like? Right? And so really being aware of that, right? And then all of a sudden something would pop in that I had not even thought of. And it was like, oh my God, of course there's another possibility, right? And so it's so important to start to really, we're talking about choices here, right? But it's so important to start to really notice and pay attention to, okay, where have I shut out a possibility that I could have my cake and eat it too, so to speak, right? Where is there something way beyond my vantage point, right? Way beyond what I can see that literally would open something up for me that is even better than I could even imagine, right? And so what happens is, and it's normal, right, is we start to buy into realities that contract us, right? So Fiona, you're talking about fear, right? And fear is, I know that you understand, is a contracted state, right? And so being aware of that and paying attention to that and going, okay, fear is obviously it's a human state. It's not our true state. If we are, when we're aligned with our soul, it doesn't buy into fear, right? But it's a state, it feels very real. And so being aware of that and then being willing to go, okay, yes, first of all, I own my fear. So I'm scared that, filling in the blank. And even just saying that out loud helps to shift it in your reality. It actually helps to clear the pattern. So, I'm scared I'm always going to be stuck. Fiona, that would be something that fits with what you just told me, right? I'm scared I'm always going to be stuck. I'm scared I'm never going to be able to move forward, right? And just literally tuning into what feels true for you on your fear. And instead of trying to pretend it's not there, literally just being willing to say it out loud, right? And then from there, being willing to open to, okay, if I could have it any which way I wanted it, right? What would that look like, right? And being willing to open to infinite possibilities and open to a whole nother paradigm that maybe right now you can't see because, I'm not saying you, Fiona, just in general, right? That we can't see because we're, hanging out, for instance, in fear, right? Or we're hanging out in, this is the only thing that's possible. So it's so important. If you've ever come to any of my workshops or anything, my workshops are always about owning our true reality, right? Owning what's really true for us, not just trying to rewrite it with something positive, because if that's not true for you, it's just like you're telling yourself a lie, right? And so it's so important that you really own that. And so with this, what I want you guys to think about is this, it's not only this energy. So we're talking about prioritizing, right? And really prioritizing what we truly want. Sometimes what happens is, we buy into this idea of logic, right? So, it's like, oh, that's the logical thing to do. And again, what happens is we cut off that idea and that energy of possibilities, right? And so, and let's be honest, if you feel logic in your body, it doesn't typically feel fun. It's not like, I'm going to go logic today, right? But when we can start to tap into the things that give us joy, right? And so the things that really feel fun and they give us joy and they create excitement, not only does that feel better for us, right? But that's a high creative energy, right? It's a high profitable energy to tap into too. It's a really high abundant energy. So again, to give you the example, right? It's like if you're working in obligation, which is like, I have to do this, versus like, I can't wait to do this. Obviously, which one feels more exciting? Which one feels more fun, right? And in those higher states is when we return to the truth of who we are, which, in business speak would be we're always meant to be profitable, right? But in spiritual speak, that would be we're always abundant, right? So just recognizing that space within us, that we are always love, we are always abundance. So let's go ahead and go through some of the clearing statements for this part of this last block, right? This last awareness. And the thing that I'm going to have you replace this with is that I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are truly important to me and that give me joy, right? So I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are truly important to me and that give me joy. Okay, and so with that, we're going to go ahead. So some of the clearing statements for this are, so first of all, everywhere that you're determined that to have love or create money, you have to do things that aren't fun, right? You have to do things that are out of obligation energy, right? Just seeing that leaving your body. And again, breathing in this idea of I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are truly important to me and that are fun, right? That are exciting. And everywhere as part of this, you're doing what's logical, right? What you're supposed to, what you think you're supposed to be doing to create money or to create love, right? So, you know, I hear a lot of times people say, I don't want to online date. Don't online date then. It's like, don't not do anything, right? But you don't have to online date. That doesn't have to be the way, for instance, that you meet a partner, right? And so really just recognizing it doesn't have to be, oh, well, this is the way that everyone meets that. Because let's put it this way. For instance, if you're online dating and if you're in the feeling of like, this isn't fun and I don't want to be here, do you think, first of all, you're going to attract the type of person that in the long run you want to be around? If we take that concept of like attracts like, yeah, probably not, right? And so just being aware of that. And alternatively, if you can, if you're like, okay, well, I really do feel like this is something I want to do, find a way to shift it so that that experience for you is fun, right? Take some fun pictures, right? Find ways that will create it so that it actually becomes fun so that you can be putting forth in that situation your best self. Okay, so everywhere that you say yes to something and you're really a no, and any versions of where you say no to something because you're scared or for some reason that's not really true for you, right? But you're actually yes. And again, just replacing that with, I choose to prioritize the people and activities and things that are truly important to me and that are also fun. And everywhere you prioritize others over you. So here's the thing. If we tend to keep saying yes to to putting other people first before ourselves, what we do is we tell the universe, source, God to bring us more of that, right? We say, okay, yeah, go ahead, bring us more of this. And any versions of where you don't prioritize yourself, you put yourself second, you put yourself last, right? Anywhere where you don't put yourself first and you don't come first in your own life. Again, just exhaling that out of your body. And then you can feel that getting lighter again and just replacing that with, I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are truly important to me and that are also joyful, they're also fun. And every version of where your choices, this is a big one, your choices don't actually match what you want in your life, right? What you want to create in your life, right? So you're telling the universe, for instance, I want love, and then you're literally sitting in your apartment waiting for him to come to your door, right? So recognizing when there's an incongruence between something you're saying you're wanting and the action or lack of action that you're taking. So just exhaling that out of your body. And again, breathing in, I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are truly important to me. And this last one is any versions of where you choose love over you, any versions of where you choose money over you. So what I mean by that, again, is looking at, okay, where you're willing to do anything for these, right? Where you're willing to disrespect yourself or do something that's out of alignment in the hopes of creating that, which, by the way, is not sustainable. It is not a sustainable thing. So just exhaling that out of your body. Good, and that's opening and it's getting lighter. And again, just breathing in this idea of I choose to prioritize the people, activities, and things that are fun, and the people that are truly important to me, and the things that are fun and joyful. So I'm going to have you guys, we just created some open space, right? So what I want you to do is go ahead and you're going to fill with light and with love and with abundance, right? So just filling all this open space that we just created in our bodies, filling it with joy and excitement, right? Excitement for this coming year. And again, filling with light and love and joy and abundance and excitement, right, for this coming year. And what I want you to do, because again, I know that this can be less tangible, right? Some of this work can be less tangible. At the beginning of this call, we started this call rating how we were feeling before this call, right? So what I want you to do now is just, again, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, I feel incredible, I feel like I could rule the world. And with 1 or 0 being, I still feel terrible, right? Just rating, where are you now? Just noticing the shift that you had in your experience. And if you want to share that, that's awesome. You do not have to. Awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you just a quick, small offer of a way to continue this work. So if you liked this, I'm going to share with you a way to continue this work that's really inexpensive, and it's going to be, we're going to go really, really deep. And then any questions you have regarding anything that we covered on this call, I would love to answer them. So at the end of this call, we are going to have an opportunity for questions. So basically what I'm doing, so if you liked this event, what I'm doing on Sunday, so it's Sunday the 12th of January, which was my grandma's birthday, but Sunday, January 12th, I am doing a clearing event. It starts at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's a 2.5, that's awesome, Fiona, that's awesome. I'm so grateful to hear that. So it's a 2.5 hour clearing. We are going to be going extremely deep in this clearing. So we just scratched the surface of it today in this call, but what we're going to be doing is diving into, I've got 4 different areas that I'm really going to that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, Fiona. We're going to dive, I've got 4 different areas we're going to cover. We're going to take them separately. So we're going to do love separately, then money. That's awesome. I love that. That's so awesome. So on Sunday's clearing call, and there will be a recording if you're unable to attend live, and or if you want to listen to it over and over, because what you're going to be able to do is listen to it and then work on different memories, right? So what we're going to be doing in this call is it's 2.5 hours. It's going to be different blocks than we covered today. So it's going to be a completely fresh, completely different call. The first set of blocks we're going to cover are family and childhood blocks, right? So we're going to take your mom and we're going to look at the biggest block around love and the biggest block around money. And then we're going to take your dad and also look at the biggest love block and the biggest money block. And I've got different exercises to take you through. You do not have to worry that you're like, I don't know what those are, right? That's what we're going to do. And not only are you going to identify your biggest block, and I'm going to help you do that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of readings. I'm going to basically be reading your energy and reading what's going on and reading what we need to clear. And I've already got a ton of things we're clearing anyways that I know and that I've seen with my clients as the biggest blocks, right? But we're going to be covering mom and dad, biggest love and biggest money block. And hey, here's the thing. If you've even worked on this, obviously you're in different places, right? And different things. So, every single time something new comes up. That's why I continually keep doing clearings, right? Is because I'm like, oh, there's an awareness that I hadn't thought of before. And so really being aware of that. So that's the first section, family and childhood blocks. Second section is we're going to cover heartbreak and desperation energy. So here's the thing. We have an experience that breaks our heart, right? Oh yes. And Maria is my wonderful helper is sharing the link to check out this whole event, but I'm just sharing it with you now. But here's the thing. So we have, we have this big heartbreak that gets stored in our body. It becomes a magnetizer for our present day reality. And most of us, if not all of us, we don't take the time to clear it, right? We just walk around with that heartbreak, and then maybe we collect another heartbreak and we pile on another heartbreak, right? And we're just like walking around with all these heartbreaks with some desperation. Maybe you had an experience in your life where you were desperate for love or desperate for money, right? And until those are cleared, they can be defining your reality, right? And so that's the next section we're going to cover. And again, we're going to cover these each individually. We're going to take love separately from money. So we're going to do love, then we're going to do money. The next thing we're going to cover, which I think is so awesome, and I don't think it's really talked about very much, is around failure and goal blocks. So what do I mean by that? If you had a time in your life where you failed, and again, you didn't share you didn't actually clear the energy from failure. If you had a time where you set a goal, you set a big goal in your life, and then you didn't clear it didn't happen, and then you didn't clear the disappointment from that, right? That's just sitting stored in your body, waiting for the next time for that energy to prove you right, to say, see, I told you you couldn't do it, right? See, I told you it wasn't going to work out, right? So it's so important to clear these memories, right? To clear these past memories. So that's the next section we're going to cover. And again, we're going to cover love separately from money. The last thing that we are going to cover in this, so this is 2.5 hours, right? So there's going to be over 2 hours of clearing, but the last clearing we're going to do of the clearing is around scarcity and competition and comparison. And so in this final section, many times what we're doing, especially too, so for instance, we're on social media right now, right? And there's a lot of energy on social media, right? And being aware of that, right? And so many times we have an experience on social media, we see something going on, and then we get jealous, right? Or we feel competitive, or we compare our lives to them, right? And, we're constantly in this sort of frame, right? We're constantly in this, right? And so imagining instead actually clearing, again, one of your biggest blocks to that, right? Clearing the next level to that, really, so you can clear out that scarcity, right? So whether it's scarcity, whether it's competition, whether it's comparison, literally, like I said, you're going to be able to take the live audio and then listen to it again and clear, again, whether it's your next layer of that, clear another block that you have around that. And so it's meant not only to be used once, but to be used many times over. And again, we're going to be bringing up a lot of things that you haven't thought of, a lot of new awarenesses, and a lot of just pieces that, again, start to get buried, inside, and they're subconscious and you're not so aware of them. So again, this is a 2.5 hour call. We're going to finish that call with walking you to and really stepping you into and embodying your future self, right? So after we have done a ton of clearing, right? After we've done a ton of clearing, what we're going to do is we're going to finish the call with a cool visioning and future self visioning and all kinds of good stuff, right? So tonight, if you sign up tonight for this, the investment for this is $97. So this is like the cheapest thing I've offered in quite some time. I just really want to support you. This year is such a huge freaking year for us in our physical world reality and creating amazing things in our physical reality. And I really want to just support you with that. So if you sign up tonight, before 11 p.m. Pacific, it's $97. Otherwise, anytime between tomorrow or basically after that time and Sunday when the live stream is, it is $197. So either way, you get it's just going to be a freaking awesome call. Okay. There's going to be so much clearing that's going to be happening. One of the things that I love to do, is really just to help people to see things that they maybe can't see. Right. And I've done a ton of work on myself to make sure that I can see you guys clearly. Right. And that it's just really important for me for people to have that soul growth, right? For people to have that space where they can just, grow and expand as beings. Right. Because we're here all to do big things. And many of us, have had that experience where if you're struggling with something at this point, it's probably because your soul set it up to actually clear some things before you create it, right? And I just want to help you to do that. So Maria has shared the link, but the link is bit.ly, so just bit.ly/love money soul clearing. Maria, if you can share that again too, that would be awesome. And maybe I'm just going to type it in here actually. But it's just bit.ly/love. Oh, you know what? Actually, I can't type it in right now, but I'll comment it on here after this live stream if you can't see Maria's post. But it's just bit.ly/love money soul clearing. Again, it's 2.5 hours with me. We're going to dive deep. I'm going to be freaking reading your stuff. You're going to get personalized attention from me. I'm so freaking excited to do this. It's going to be an amazing call. And also too, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Like, I'm so appreciative. I'm so grateful to have you in my community. I'm so grateful to have all of your support. So, awesome. Okay. So, with everything that we talked before we close tonight, does anyone have any questions on anything that I shared? I asked not to ask questions on me reading something right now, but is there anything that you would like me to clarify? Is there anything, that's awesome, Fiona. You're welcome, Angie. You're welcome, Wendy. So is there anything that I shared that you're like, I didn't understand that, or can you say that again, or can you explain more about that? Anything at all before we close for tonight? I'll give you a second or two to type questions. You know, so earlier, while you guys are, if there's any questions, I'll wait for a second or two here. I was like, I heard this like rap song coming in my head. I was like, "Ooh, that'd be fun. Start my live stream with a rap." This girl can rap. Thanks so much, Sheila. I'll hope to see you on Sunday. Thank you. I'm so grateful to see you again. It's great to connect. Okay, so it looks like no one has any questions on anything that I shared. Again, I'll drop the link in here if you didn't catch it while I was saying it for the 2.5 hour event. I'd love to see you there. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate. Questions about the event or anything, don't hesitate to email me just at deb@deboraacker.com. And otherwise, I hope you have an amazing Saturday, amazing Wednesday, and rest of your week. Many blessings to you guys. Oh, okay, Fiona, I see before I close off, I'll answer your question. Could you explain family ties and guilt at being there at the end? I'm not sure I fully understand. Can you share a little bit more about that? You felt guilty for... You might be typing, so you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks, Maria. You're awesome, by the way. Fiona, can you share a little bit more about your question? I'm not sure if I fully understand. See you Sunday, Angie. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Fiona, if you type something, I don't see anything else to like, and I don't know if I fully understand your question. What I'm making up, could you explain family ties? You're talking about being connected to our family in negative ways? I'm still not sure if I understand. I would feel guilty for being in America. Okay. Thank you. So, just in general with guilt, again, I would say guilt is not the truth of who we are, right? So, okay, several things. Guilt is not the truth of who we are. So yes, it can be an easy thing. Hi, Sebastian. How are you? Guilt is not the truth of who we are, but it can be an easy thing to attach to. The other thing is that does guilt change anything? No, it does not, right? So where, though, I would start with that, Fiona, just in general, is to own that you feel guilty, right? So a lot of times, again, we get conditioned not to think that we should own that stuff, but really what I would start with is just literally, even if you said out loud, I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I'm not there for him. I should be there for him, right? And so starting to own that and recognize that, and even me just saying that out loud, it just got lighter, right? And well, imbalance, right? So that's the space, what you're talking about is the space of where you choose to put them first over you. So the guilt in your body is not making yourself feel good, right? But then you're literally still choosing to do it. Right. I mean, so the journey is about realizing, so coming from the energy of sacrifice is literally opposite of your truth, right? So the journey is about really aligning with what's true for you, right? But sacrifice is a heavy energy just in general, right? So coming from love, right? Coming from support. So I totally get, and as somebody who literally had to work, I took care of my grandparents. I took care of my grandma, my mom's mom, and then I was there for my grandparents a lot, my dad's parents. So when I was in my 20s and into my 30s, I used to feel obligation energy to go see them and feel obligation energy that I should, right? But to be honest, that didn't actually make me feel good. That didn't change anything that was occurring. And in fact, it probably took away from my time with them. And so thinking about it, instead, it's again, that space of you want to be there for them. So when you're there for them, actually making the choice and choosing to be present for them, right? And not choose, because if you're there, I bet you what's happening, because I would imagine this is what it feels like, this is what's happening, right? It's even when you get around them, you feel guilty, right? And so if you're trying to define how much sacrifice is required, I think that's the wrong question to be asking. It's not about how much sacrifice is required. It's about what is true for me, right? So it was true for me that I wanted to be there for my grandparents. And it was also true for me that I really wanted to, again, I didn't have this consciousness at the time, but I wanted to enjoy the time with them, right? So as I started to go through my awakening journey and spend time with them, it's my whole life changed, because I actually was able to be present with them and love them and not be oh my God, I should do this, or I should go see them. So I think a better question is, what's really true for me? So it's true for me that I want to be there for them. Okay, well, what does that look like? And how do I have balance in my life versus, how much am I supposed to do? Which isn't going to give you, that's an off-centered question, right? So that's a question that's literally what do they expect of me? It's literally you're grounding into what someone else's truth is. Is that helpful? Fiona, is that helpful to you? And just in general, we're talking about this on the call, this is true for everybody, right? It's we tend to move from obligation, but it's instead of that space of what is really true for me. And the more we clear, the more we're able to recognize that, right? So a lot of times what happens is we're trying to make decisions and we learned obligation, right? So that's what I had learned. And I learned guilt too a lot when I was younger, right? That was what I learned when I was growing up. And so I couldn't really determine what was really, yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the memories, right? Struggling in the old country energy, that's the memories, right? That's a memory you're carrying. That's not actually your truth, but it's an energy that you took out with you. And now until that gets cleared, you're always not always, but you're probably going to struggle with it, right? Because it's an old memory. It's not really what's true. But, through my journey, it's I had to determine, okay, what's really true for me? What's really true for me is I want to freaking enjoy my time with my grandparents and just really soak them up. They were just this awesome, delicious people that I just love and I miss and I connect with on the other side. But, and so that was really what was true for me, right? And not just being I have to go see them, which feels heavy and not fun. So that's a good question. Thanks for asking. Okay, so any other questions before we close out for tonight on anything that we discussed this evening? Yeah, just anything that we discussed. No readings or anything, but just anything we discussed. And I give just one more minute and then we're going to close out. Because it's been a long day. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, many blessings to you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing many of you guys on Sunday. And sign up tonight so you get the 50% off. Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much. Have a good night.